Still on the Old Testament prophets, we look at the prophet Jeremiah. So, who was he? What did he do? What are the teachings that we can draw from him? Let's look into our class today. So Israel had not taken heed to Amos' prophecies. This was especially on idolatry. So God sent another prophet to continue the same work. So Jeremiah was therefore appointed as a prophet. And Jeremiah is one of the Old Testament major prophets. So he was called to be a prophet around 627 BC, and he was called as a young man, probably 20 years, and he prophesied in the southern kingdom, Judah, for a period of 40 years. So his prophetic ministry took place before and during the exile Judah. So by the end of this topic, having that basis, we should be able to describe the historical background of Prophet Jeremiah, describe his personal life and his call, explain the evils condemned by Jeremiah, which led to the breaking of the covenant. So before we look at more details on this prophet, let's look at the evils addressed by Prophet Jeremiah. So we have necromancy, dishonesty or deception, false prophecies, human sacrifice, and idolatry, as recorded in Jeremiah chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10, 23, and 28. So, having looked at the evils condemned by this prophet, we'll look at more objectives. That is, the relevance of his teachings on the evils and false prophets to Christians today. We are also going to analyze Jeremiah's teaching on judgment and punishment and explain the significance of the symbolic acts related to judgment and punishment. So maybe you can look at that shortly. But that symbolic acts related to judgment and punishment as recorded in Jeremiah 13, chapter 13, chapter 16, chapter 18, chapter 19, chapter 24, and chapter 27. These are the symbolic acts. 1. The linen waistcloth, Jeremiah's personal life, Jeremiah's visit to a potter, the broken earthen flask, symbolic vision of 2 baskets of figs, the wearing of the yoke, and again the linen waistcloth. I think that we've actually repeated. And so there's more to look at concerning Jeremiah, and let's back to what our objectives are. So, having explained the significance of, having looked at the symbolic acts relating to judgment and punishment, we should be able to explain Jeremiah's teaching on the new covenant, describe the suffering and lamentations of Jeremiah and their relevance to Christians today, explain Jeremiah's symbolic acts related to hope and restoration, and describe the fall of Jerusalem and the exile of the Israelites. And finally, relate the teaching of Jeremiah to the New Testament and Christians today. So let's see whether we can look at the symbolic acts that related to hope and restoration. So quickly we get to that. Here we have them, the symbolic acts relating to hope and restoration as recorded in Jeremiah 24, verse 10 to chapter 32, verse 1 to 14. So we have the vision of 2 baskets of figs, Jeremiah buying a field, Jeremiah's letter to the Jews in Babylonia, the wooden ox yoke, again the visit to the potter's house. So having done this, we'll have considered all that we ought to consider under the subject Jeremiah. So that's the end of our class. See you the next class. Remember to get the CRE app, so that you're able to look at the details of Jeremiah. See you in the next class.